Hello dear students, welcome in this online session of Standard 10th. I hope you are fit and fine and you are sitting at home. Also, I am wishing that you are having the good health while you are also maintaining all the self-distancing from the strangers and from the people whom do you know too. Now, apart from the healthy and wealthy benefits, today we need to boost up our mind. Now, in the boosting of our mind, we need to focus on our syllabus and the subject too. So you can see behind me the factors which are written by me is also related with the economical development, and also it is one of the backbone of any struggling nation or a nation which is already developed, because economy is the only thing which we need to build up in the nation. And not only it is only one thing, other things are also there, but the economy which we need to build up in any kind of nation, like India is there about developing nation or any nation. So we actually need to focus on the basic steps of the factors too here, on which economy can be defined, economic can be somehow understood, economic can be also somehow categorized, and also it can be developed out. So today in whole of this lecture, today we will learn about the unemployment in India, poverty of India, dual economy of India, insufficient infrastructure of India, and many more things related to the India here. So we need to understand here, if we talk about the unemployment, yes, the ratio of unemployment is maximum in India. Why? Because somehow we can say that as we are working here, or as we are somehow dignity towards our nation, the nation is not fully providing us the jobs, or there are not all the sectors which are available for the vacancies of the jobs. So in this case of category, my dear students, the factor or the reason which arises the people for the crime rate or for the poverty in India and all is also somehow related with the unemployment ship of the India. So this topic which we need to understand very must in India, very first in India. Now, as you know that India 60% of the calculative factor people are living over the agricultural benefits, and as you know that agriculture of India is not much that amount of the profitable if we talk about compared to the other world also. So if the agriculture is not somehow that much about profitable in India especially, then we can say that India is still now struggling with the infrastructure and the facilities like companies which are providing us the employment too here is somehow also insufficient here. Let's study the basic thing about the unemployment of India and in India. So what is unemployment? When a person is not containing a job, he is not going for the regular basis of the wages while he is working. So actually that is known as the unemployment, or you can say that the person who is also leading to his life next in the future to be a absolute poor or a relative poor or a proper poor also. So that is also the unemployment of the India. Now, unemployment may be counted somehow as an important feature of a developing nation, because when unemployment is somehow not available in an appropriate amount, or we can say that in the amount where we can say people can fulfill and boost up their living standard, that country can be also facing some of the poverty exchanges problem too here, or the poverty related problem too here. So here we can say that employment is an important feature of the developing nation, and in these countries which are developing, ratio of the unemployment is meant to be 3% of the total amount of the people in the area. Means we need to take out the factor of the unemployment, that is around 3% in the developing nation, if we talk in the general calculative factor related to the employment with the unemployment here. And apart from that, we can say that some of can be like a seasonal unemployment also may be seen here, and some are industrial unemployment also, and many more reasons are there behind the unemployment too here. So it can be described by unemployment of industrial employment, and more the period of unemployment is also very long. If we talk about the unemployment period of Indian civilization, Indian people, so it can be long stretching in the line, because Indian industries, if we talk about Indian farm, Indian weather, in the condition, in the roadways, electricity, and many more productive raw materials are also not working or not available in a stable amount, in a smooth amount, in a frequent amount. So there is the employment somehow which is getting the birth in India. So that is one topic here. Moving to the next one. Now, what is the poverty? The itself poverty consists the poorness, as I say to you. Now what is the poverty? We can say poverty is also one of the feature of developing nation. ये सारे features developing nation के ही है. As we know that what is poverty? Poverty is also जो nation, the nation which is developing, the nation which is developing, not developed like America, the nation which is developing consisting these kinds of features and factors, because अगर ये सब उसमें नहीं होंगे तो शायद वो nation developed nation में आ जाए. I hope you can understand what I am teaching you, my dear students. See, if a nation is developing nation, तो उसे developing क्यों कहा गया है? What is the reason behind that? उसके कौन से फैक्टर्स वीक पड़ते हैं? दैट आर द वीक फैक्टर हियर विच आई एम एक्सप्लेनिंग यू, क्योंकि ये सारे फैक्टर्स आपको एक डेवलप्ड नेशन में देखने को नहीं मिलते हैं. These factors are not seen by you inside the factor related to the developed nation. These are only related to a developing nation, developing economy, and a nation which is trying to struggle well. So that is how we can say that poverty can be clothing also related to cloth, food, shelter, and many more things that I have discussed in the earlier lecture also, which can be somehow subjected to the market risk too here, in which people are not allowed, or somehow they are not allowed to live their dream, and many more things. So moving further here, now comes the dual economy. What is actually the dual economy? See, dual economy also somehow indicates the factor related with the mixed system of the economy too here. Now, if I talk about the economy of India, developing country like India, it is also somehow based on a dual or mixed economy system. On one side, we can say that it is actually working with the backward farming. Now, what is backward farming? See, in India, if you talk about especially the fielding agriculture of Gujarat, Gujarat is though having that much amount of field, but if I compared related to the Haryana's field of agriculture, irrigated system or machinery and many more things, somehow Gujarat also imports the machinery for the harvesting of the Gujarat crops from the Haryana, Punjab or by neighboring states. Why this is happening? Just because all the people are not supported to get these kinds of machineries as well. Industrial development of these kinds of machineries are also not in these kinds of states. So somehow they need to import seasonal from the other areas. Let's talk about the basic thing which I am actually needing to talk about you. Now if you talk about the basic system about the Indian civilization, in the ancient time we used the general techniques, means we can say general techniques. Okay, now what is the general technique? We use bullock cart. We would somehow, you don't remember that, my dear students, but in some of the countries when India was using some of the smart techniques like bullock carts and all to plow out the field, the other nations like Russia, US or Japan or many other nations like Italy, German, they were using the horse to plow their field. So they were trying on the experimental belief on the different factor. So in India still today the farmers are not having the basic things about the machinery development also, which can be used inside the field, where their mind is also related with the orthodoxies. Now what is orthodoxy? Orthodoxy means that the people or their group of people, their own social religious life is related with a basic fundamental thought which actually came from their primitive forefathers. They will not update their meaning of technical information. They will not update with the time. They will just use the old system of the machinery. They will just use the old technique of the machinery. They will just use the old farming techniques related to the irrigation also. So in order to make you understand, dual means one side India is talking about the infrastructure, one side India is talking about the modern machinization, but other thing we can say that farmers are also somehow likely not supported, or unlikely they are also, or we can say forcefully they're not able to afford the latest machine. Therefore they used only the olden techniques. That is also somehow helping them to work out, but it is not helping country to get the production for the income level, which is per capita income of a person or related to the whole group of the people in the India. So in the dual economic system, it is also relating with the factors responsible of the farming too here, or we can say it is also responsible for the systematic thing which we are using from the ancient time and needed to be updated right now. So somehow we can say that it is also related with the orthodoxy structure also, and less productive areas can be seen by these kinds of things in the villages. So the villages people, somehow the farmers are also sending or selling their land for the as the use of helipads or the party plots or the cricket ground or any people, those who are about to make their societies or other football ground. So that land is not further used to maintain the cropping. That is also one of the very risky graph which is India leading on the basic factor of the income development. Let's talk about the moving further here, that is now insufficient infrastructure facilities. Now this is the also topic which is relating with the dual economy system, insufficient. Now what is infrastructure? We know that today India is going on an extra level where we find all the flyovers, flyover bridges, underground railways and many more things. Means infrastructure is developing. But is that so only that India can develop only related with the infrastructure? That's only enough? And the answer comes no, that is not related to enough. So let's talk about the insufficient. Now let's talk about here about the insufficient. It leads with the crucial development also. Crucially, we can say vital infrastructure facilities like educative centers, transportation, communication, electricity, health facilities, banking, etc. are somehow lacking in the development with the countries, hindering the development of nation too here. You just ask yourself, if you live in Kalol, Panchmahal, is there any kind of super mall available? And the answer will come no. Is there any kind of race course available? The answer will come no. Is there any kind of big hospitals like Sterling or Zydus is available? The answer will come no. So which land we belongs to? The answer itself is yes, we belongs to the land which is not having all the sufficient infrastructure. Still today the people of Kalol, if I talk about, still the people of Halol, if I talk about Godhra, they move their shopping businesses, or they also wish to take a whole house or plant their property inside the area where all these things are available. My dear student, this is also known as inflation. So we can say that insufficient infrastructure also leads the country to go backward. While if you want to start any kind of business, you are unable to start that business. Why? Because you don't get availability of the latest technique, availability of the latest service centers and many more things. So that is also somehow like infrastructure which is insufficient. If you talk about the hospitals too, here we have hardly 2 or 3 governmental hospitals, and compared with the human hospital, let's move to the animal hospital, that is a veterinary hospital. How many veterinary hospitals are there in the Kalol? Let's count out that. 1 or 2 is there. Are they working regularly on the basic hours? And the answer somehow will be not clear. That is also showing that it is insufficient infrastructure related to the economical system also. It means that we don't have all the basic platforms, we don't have all the basic airports. Even the Kalol is not having any kind of airport. So what is this happening? This is actually insufficient infrastructure. We need to waste our time, we need to waste our money to transport our luggage as well ourselves also from one place to another to move to the next part of the world. That is also one of the infrastructure insufficiencies. So my dear students, this lecture is all about the factors of the responsible factors of the economical development of the nations like India, which is developing still, it is struggling here. Now I'll move to the forms of international trade here. Let's talk about the forms of international trade. Now what is international trade? International trade consists of the bidding and trading related to the country wise, okay, or we can say that it is related with the expanded form of the country wise. Now international form itself relate with the outer exchange, or we can say that exchange which is related with not your country or somehow related with your country to the another country also. That can be also said as insufficient, or we can say that the form of international trade system. Now if you talk about the forms of international trade, every country needs to work on basic one parameter. Now what is one parameter? How to identify that whether a country is rich or poor, how to identify the economical growth of the country, the GDP is rich or poor. That all thing we'll discuss in this lecture. So let's see about the forms of international trade. So the forms of international trade is somehow related with the basic things which I need to convey with you, my dear students. The structure of foreign trade is depending on the basic 3 things, that is the productive material, the relationship with the country, and also how that kind of informative things is related with the product or not. On the basis only, any country is dealing with other country in the name of exchange, import, export, or in the productivity too. So let's move out with this factor of the forms of international trade. Now, if I go more further, the forms of international trade is in the developing country is different. Like India, it is quietly different. And now here, the countries mainly somehow, so the countries like India, which export agro-basic materials to the abroad. If I talk about the agro-based material, mainly export the farm products. Somehow they can be also related with the mineral ore too here. Means not only the one productivity, they are moving to the one or two productivity in the forms of international trade of India. That also furthermore deals with the income generation and many more relationships built up with the foreign countries too here. So apart from that, these type of products have less demand in the countries like abroad, so they can be sold out in the lower rate. Therefore, that also one of the factor where the country is not getting availability of that kind of money related with the export of the material from one country to the another. So the income source is less in that source of amount. And if you go more further, so the less when income is generated, obviously that production or that deal is not a healthy deal if you compare it with the developing nation to the developed nation. So that is all about the forms of international trade. And if you go more further, international trade is also relating with the different factors. If I talk about, okay, while we import some of the things, while we import including industrial products and machinery as well, the cost of this product is more. See, my dear student, when we export the thing as an Indian country or as a country which is developing, we get less income. But when we import their machinery, when we import their cloth materials, when we import their medicinal facilities, when we import their techniques, and when we import extraordinary kinds of things here, we need to pay heavy tax on that here. So that also somehow we can say that the condition of the foreign trade becomes adverse for the country which are developing here. And same as here, there is an increase in the foreign exchange also, not income exchange of the Indian countries. If I talk about the India, we'll take just an example of India. There is very low income when we take some kinds of thing to export on the other countries level. There is very low income, but when we take some kinds of thing to import in our country from the other trade, that we need to pay extra amount, which I'm repeating 2 to 3 times, that you need to understand what is the meaning of forms of international trade system. And apart from that, that also features can be seen in the developing country. But in the developed country like Russia, France, Japan, US, Ukraine, Bulgaria, Hungary, or Germany, they are actually working in the profit level while they sell their materials or they sell their ammunition system or the ammunition materials to the India on the name of defense or on the name of somehow the boost up employment too.